Good evening, everyone. I'm sorry for the technical difficulties here at the beginning. We appreciate your patience as we're making sure that all of our speakers are able to access their mics and their audio. We just want to welcome you to the second webinar in our Global Conflict series. My name is Dr. Leah Tarwater, and I will be your moderator tonight. We're excited that you're joining us this evening. So you can see that the chat box is already open for you. We appreciate you letting us know that you could hear the speaker. Hold on just 1 second as I do a behind the scenes thing for someone real quick. Okay, at some point we'll get going here. Okay, so the chat box is open. If you have questions at any time, please feel free to ask. If you need a moderator to contact you or to private message you because you're having difficulties, please feel free to use the hand raising feature at the bottom of your screen. Otherwise, there's no reason to raise your hand, okay? Please only click that if you have a question or if you need help. At the end of our talk this evening, we will share a link in the chat box to an exit survey. And if you're attending this for extra credit, please make sure that you fill out that entire form, and we'll remind you to do that again at the end. So in honor of Veterans Day, this webinar will focus on veterans after conflict. Veteran experiences are different with each conflict that the United States has participated in. In World War II, the United States had the high moral ground with Hitler and with the Japanese who had attacked Pearl Harbor as clearly as our enemies. The soldiers knew who their enemy was during the war and were hailed as heroes when they came home. The Korean War saw the United States enter its first limited war, where the military would not be allowed to use every weapon at its disposal to win. Sandwiched between World War II and Vietnam, which were both important to our culture, soldiers of the Korean War are often considered veterans of the forgotten war. Tonight, the main part of our discussion begins with a Vietnam veteran. This was the most controversial war in our nation's history. 10% of the young men in this generation served in Vietnam, either by being drafted or volunteering. Soldiers of the Vietnam War engaged enemies that were not always obvious in a country where most Americans did not fully understand why we were there. Because of this, the moral high ground was not as clear as in previous American wars. Back home, the anti-war movement raged, and many veterans were treated poorly upon their return. These soldiers were not welcomed home as heroes, as veterans of previous wars had been. After we discuss the Vietnam experience, I will invite our two other speakers, Giovanni Monsanto and Vincent Smith, who are veterans of more recent conflicts, to share their experiences with you. But first, we'll have a Vietnam veteran. Due to a scheduling conflict, Ricky Parker, a Vietnam veteran, Purple Heart recipient, and my father, was unable to be here with us live tonight. He did record a video that he would like to share with you. So the link to this video, because we can't run audio in Blackboard Collaborate, so what we're going to do is the link to this video is going to pop up in your chat box. And as soon as I'm done speaking, it'll pop up. And so click on that and watch the video. You'll need to watch the entire video because if you're doing this for extra credit, then you'll see that there will be a blank where you have to fill in a keyword. And so that keyword is going to be somewhere in the video. So make sure that you watch it. And then whenever you're finished, whenever you come back from watching that video, raise your hand so that we know that you're back. Okay, so the video should be finished for you if you clicked on it shortly after it was posted. I know some of you had concerns about the keyword. The keyword was there, I promise. If you have to watch it though, he does not say it. It's something that comes across your screen right before the last section where he's talking about the captain that saved his life. No, you don't have to go back. If you'll just scan through the YouTube video and slide it along to the right before the last section, you can find it. And for those of you who missed the part about what you need to do with it, it'll be on the exit survey at the end. Okay, so our next person will be live. The next person will be live. His name is, I hope I'm pronouncing it right because I never got to ask you how to pronounce it, but it's this is going to be Giovanni Monsanto, and he can correct me if I'm saying his name wrong. He is a first lieutenant in the U.S. Army, and he is currently deployed. Because Lieutenant Monsanto is overseas, there could be some connection issues, so we just ask that you would be patient if that does happen. And we appreciate that patience. So I'm going to turn this over to Lieutenant Monsanto now.
Hey, can you guys hear me?
Can you guys hear Gio?
Yes, we can hear you.
Good.
Okay. Hey world, Lieutenant Monsanto here coming in from Kuwait. My topic is psychological adjustments a soldier makes prior to coming into a combat environment and or theater, which over the years has pretty much come synonymous. Even myself being here in Kuwait, which is not the typical combat operation zone, I had to make some adjustments prior to coming because where I am, as of right now, a lot of the terrorist cells operate from these non-conflict zones. So you would think, hey, I'm going to Saudi Arabia, or I'm going to let's see another one, Pakistan or somewhere like that, or even Turkey. Like, oh, okay, it's not a bad zone, but that's where a lot of these terrorist cells call home. That's where they recruit. So you actually don't have the gun shooting or a lot of the killing that you go to in the movies. However, there are different scenarios that do take place in these environments. So prior to coming over, I know for myself and my peers, a lot of the adjustments that we had to make were the possibility of not coming home, or the possibility of coming home but not being the same. And I don't mean that theoretically, I mean that in a psychological aspect, because of the adjustments that we had to make while we're here. And prior to coming, the adjustments that I made, they didn't really prepare me for the adjustments that I had to make since being here. That's the information that we come to miss out on family event, there's plenty of scenarios and situations that emotionally you don't prepare for, and so we have thinking around here we don't really celebrate the holidays because of the mental welfare that puts those. So Halloween, didn't know it was Halloween, on Facebook, didn't make people with their information and people dying. And a lot of people are not going to understand the lifestyle that a soldier or any type of military.
Okay, hey, Gio, hold on one second. I think my speaker that you're speaking through is losing some connection. Could you back up just a second and talk about I think the last couple of minutes of what you said?
The psychological adjustment, as far as I think coming over and being here are two different adjustment periods just adjustments that someone has to go through. Coming over, you're preparing for the possibility of not coming back, going back to the States, and then being here, you're preparing for the reality of it. It just hits you in a different magnitude. I haven't had to experience the adjustment of going back to the States and what that lifestyle will look like. I can plan it, I can think about it, and it scares the hell out of me because I know I'm not going back to the same world. I know I'm not going back as the same person. And really the best way that anyone can help me or help any other soldier that's coming back from a combat zone is to, just pay attention, look for signs of adjustment issues. I guarantee you that, a person's probably going to come back different and quite more observant, probably the whole PTSD aspect being in full effect, because out here, every day, we know more or less that someone's trying to kill us. And so we're always keeping our head on a swivel. And going back to the States, it's kind of hard just to turn that off. So there's not a switch that we can flip to turn off our awareness, our situational awareness. So that would be my advice, is just to be supportive and be attentive to any soldiers or family members that you might have coming back to the States, because this life is way different. And a lot of the soldiers, service members don't inform the families of what they are experiencing. That's how they break the association for when they come back home. They like to think that they can just transition back into the home front, without having the association of the environment that they just left, so they don't inform the families of everything that they see and go through. So my suggestion and my advice to my 2 cents as a deployed soldier in the combat zone is to just be supportive, be attentive, and don't pay attention to necessarily the stereotypes. More just, hey, what do you need to be successful? What do you need to transition? And go from there. Take it step by step. So that's how we do it. And that's all I got. Thanks for the opportunity to share my thoughts on it.
Thank you so much, Gio. So basically, and I'm kind of repeating this because I'm not sure how well the audio is on the other end, because we recognize you're in Kuwait serving our country at the moment. I wanted you all to know that Gio recently graduated, so he's not too much older than most of you guys who are probably attending this session, but he also has a background in MHMR in psychology, which is mental health and mental retardation. He worked for MHMR for quite some time, and what he's stating is that the stereotypical PTSD person that you think is coming back from combat may not actually be the case, but what we can do as family members and as associates, colleagues at work, friends, is to basically be attentive to that person when he or she comes back, because it's really hard to turn off that switch from, okay, I'm in combat, somebody's probably trying to kill me every single day, and I got to be 100% attentive, which is really what we call hyper arousal. Going from that, coming back to the States to just kind of be calm and chill with your family, you just can't just switch that off. And so it takes time to transition. Did I get that right, Gio?
You did. Thank you for putting that short and sweet, sure.
Well, we really appreciate you waking up at 3 a.m. your time and being a part of our behavioral and social sciences venue tonight. And can't wait to see you when you get home.
Thanks, Sherry. I appreciate the opportunity, guys.
Okay. Talk to you soon, Gio.
Bye.
Yeah, we're so thankful for your perspective, and thank you all for being patient as we worked through some difficulties there. Our next speaker is going to be Vincent Smith. Vincent is our veterans specialist here at Tarrant County College, so I'm going to turn it over now to Vincent.
Hello, how you doing? Good evening. Thank you for joining us today. My name's Vince Smith. I am a veteran of the United States Marine Corps. I served 20 years in the Marine Corps, and next week will be 3 years that I've retired. What I'm going to talk a little bit about today is what I do for the college, which I'm a veteran specialist. And I am the first person that students usually see once they exit the military and they arrive home. Oftentimes they arrive, they're confused, they don't know where to go, a little nervous, and things that they're used to as far as having like what we call a battle buddy or someone there with them to help get them through the process, they don't have that. So a lot of times they feel a little bit isolated and alone. More importantly, the time that they've spent in the military has matured a lot of our students. So when they come home, they're not first things that may have been important to them when they were home before they joined is now different. Like maybe my iPhone or I got to go catch this movie. Now it's more along the lines of, hey, I got to pay the rent this month. I got to find a job. I don't have people that I'm close to or that I know anymore. So for them, transition for some can be very difficult, and for others, it's not as bad. Nonetheless, when the students go to their separation class, the information that's taught is not prepared for what's to come. So the advice that I would give a lot of our students, a lot of military members that get ready to get out of the military, start early. Start your transition 2 years out. Even if you're not sure, start 2 years out. What I mean by that is look at the colleges that you plan on attending. Look at some of the requirements for admission. Make sure you have all of your documents and like your separation papers. You must also have applied for your education benefit early, so when you show up, you're ready to go. A lot of times students show up and I'm here to register, and they don't realize that they have to go through the registration process to apply for admission first. That's where times they go, they sit from place to place to place, and they're not quite understanding why someone's telling them why. They just say, go here, go there. So, yeah, advice that I can give you is patience. Transition isn't something that's done today or 2 days or 3 days. Sometimes it takes at least a year, some folks, to transition out of the military. So it's important that they start early. And just be patient with them. If they need some support, don't be afraid to talk to them. Not all vets have PTSD or things of that nature. Just lend sympathetic ear. Some of the things that we do here at Tarrant County College is we have something called Green Zone training, and it's to help faculty and staff members understand what that transition process is like and how to be an ally to these students as they make that transition from military life back to civilian life. If you are here and you are an employee or faculty or staff at Tarrant County College, it's encouraged to sign up. We will be teaching a Green Zone webinar next Wednesday from 10 to 11. And just about every campus, we Green Zone at least once a month. It's in the PC Learning Center. Plus, it's for professional development as well. But be very, very supportive, patient, just with sympathetic ear. And veterans, if they're out there, take your time, attach someone to help you, and don't be afraid to ask questions. If I go to this building, why am I going here? What am I going to do? But in a nutshell, transition isn't an oftentimes it can take a bad turn for some. But that's in a nutshell. Myself, I can be located in our email, vincent.smith@ccc.edu if you have any additional questions or if you're interested in them. Thank you.
Thank you for your time, Vincent. We really appreciate it. Y'all, I know that at times it was broken, but I think we could, for the most part, get the gist of it. We're going to open this up now to a question and answer session. Gio had to go to bed because it's right on there. So we do have Vincent who can answer questions, and Sherry Mata can answer a few questions if necessary about PTSD and stuff like that. But so if you have any questions, go ahead and post them in the chat box, and then we can ask Vincent for you.
One thing I would like to mention to students about, I guess, the mental health aspect of soldiers coming back is that PTSD, post-traumatic stress disorder, is not the only issue that a serviceman or woman may experience upon return. If they had lost someone in combat and witnessed that, obviously that would be trauma. So post-traumatic stress would be an issue or could be an issue. But there's also major depressive disorder. A lot of servicemen and women come back, and when they have issues readjusting to civilian life, it can cause anxiety. It could cause depression. It could cause other mental health issues. But as Giovanni mentioned, it really should not be a stereotype that we think that everyone who comes back from service has mental health issues, because they don't. Some people do have issues, and we just need to be sensitive to that and be aware of maybe some of the signs and symptoms of some of these disorders so that we can intercede or offer help if or when necessary.
Thank you, Sherry. Well, it doesn't look like we have any questions tonight, but again, we just really want to thank y'all for, we would have loved to have had the video in the webinar. Unfortunately, it doesn't let us share audio, so we appreciate y'all bearing with us for that and for sound issues and all of that. Our next webinar, our final one of the semester, will be November 30th. On the Civil War. It'll be on immigrant soldiers in the Civil War. So we hope that you'll join us for that as well. You'll notice in the chat box now is the link to fill out for your exit survey, so that if your professor offered you extra credit, we can let them know that you attended, and you can get that credit. So make sure that you fill out the exit survey. And again, we really appreciate your time. Also, in the exit survey, let us know what topics you might be interested in hearing about in the spring, because we are gearing up for another series this spring, and we haven't got every topic lined up yet. So we would love for you to share with us what you might be interested in hearing more about. We hope you have a great night, and thanks again for joining us.
Leah, can I add one comment to that?
Oh, sure.
I was just want to kind of put a little bug in everybody's ear, the students' ear, that we'll be continuing these on in the spring. Like Professor Tarwater mentioned, if you are not taking one of the social science courses or behavioral science courses, which would be psychology, sociology, government, or history, please let us know on your survey so that we can include you in your email when we advertise for the spring semester, because one that we're working on right now is human trafficking, which is becoming a big issue in our community, and we need to be aware of what's going on there so we all can stay safe and keep our families safe. So just a little plug.
Thank you, Sherry.
I'd like to also add one more thing.
Yes.
For students out there, this is Vince. For students out there, if you're interested for your student organizations and you want to learn about Green Zone, you can always email me, and we'll set up a special 1-hour Green Zone for you and your student organization, so you can kind of get a basic understanding of what it's like for some of your classmates, because believe it or not, you may be sitting next to a veteran in your classroom and not even know it. But it's just tips on how to be able to communicate with them, things to stay away from, and ways to be respectful and to pay homage to them for their service and sacrifice, which allows all of us to enjoy the freedoms and liberties we have today.
Absolutely. Thank you for adding that and sharing that resource that the students and staff have at TCC. I think it's really important for us to learn how to be sensitive and what things we should and should not say. My dad mentioned that in the video, the things that people would say to him when he came home from Vietnam. And so I think it's really important for us to learn what is appropriate and what is not. Thanks again to Vincent and to Giovanni for participating tonight. We hope you all have a great rest of the evening.